Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Bibliophila, where I discuss books that inspire us, enrich our minds and broaden our mental horizon. Let's begin today's episode with a review of yet another book. Today, I'll be talking about a book, Coolie by Mulk Raj Anand. This book was first published in 1936 and its publication reinforced Mulk Raj Anand's position as one of the leading English authors in India. Anand's main concern had always been with the creatures in the lowest depths of society, who once were men and women, the rejected, who had no way to articulate their anguish against the oppressors. Like many of his other novels, Coolie also revolves around the consequences of the British rule in India and the rigid caste system that had structured Indian society. Coolie is a story of a 14-year-old orphan boy by the name of Munoo and his plight due to the poverty and exploitation caused by the political and social structures of the time. Munoo had lost his parents at a very early age and was reluctantly taken in by his relatives, who sent him off to Sham Nagar to earn his own living at about 14 years of age. Munoo's father was a farmer whose lands were seized by the landlord, and because the rate of interest on the mortgage due to the unpaid rent was not forthcoming due to poor harvests and scanty rains, the landlord permanently took away Munoo's father's lands. And he knew how his father had died, a slow death of bitterness and disappointment, and left his mother a penniless beggar to support a young brother-in-law and a child in arms. The sight of his mother grinding grain between the scarred surfaces of millstones, which she gyrated round and round, by the wooden handle, now with her right hand, now with her left, day and night, had become indelibly imprinted on his mind. Also, the sight of her as she had lain dead on the ground, with a horrible yet sad set expression on her face, had sunk into his subconsciousness with all its weight of tragic dignity and utter resignation. This explains the inhuman torture which the haves inflict upon the have-nots. Munoo's uncle took him to Sham Nagar and employed him as a servant at the house of a bank clerk by the name of Babu Nathuram. Munoo was ill-treated, abused, not taken care of by the mistress of the house, but he secretly admired the master's younger brother, Prem Chand, who was a doctor. Munoo was awestruck by the land of the Lallas, the Sahibs and the Babus beyond the black waters. Although Sheila, the master's youngest daughter, was good to Munoo, her mother constantly abused him on a regular basis. Munoo soon perceived his position in the society, the oppressed, the slave and the burden. This made him miserable and lonely, with no one in the world to care. He got into fights with the other servants and was badly hurt and bruised. If only he had money, if only the Babu did not give the pay which was due to him to his uncle Dayaram, he would have saved the money and run away to become a hawker of sweetmeats, like the boy who sat outside Sheila's school and earned a rupee a day. Money is everything, his uncle had said on the day of his journey to town. Money is indeed everything, Munoo thought, and his mind dwelt for the first time on the difference between himself, the poor boy, and his masters, the rich people, between all the poor people in his village and Jai Singh's father, the landlord. He saw the shriveled up skeleton of old Gangu, the 70-year-old grandfather of his school friend, little Bishan, who worked as a laborer on the fields of anyone who could employ him. He recalled the lean face of Bishambar's mother, who went carrying in the house of the landlord. He remembered vaguely the hollow eyes of his own father looking down at him tenderly before he fell asleep for the last time. He could even now feel the warmth of his mother's lap as he had lain in it while she moved the millstone round and round, till she had languished and expired. How empty he felt without that warmth now, as if that warmth were a necessary clothing for his body. But now there were so many poor people, and only one or two rich people in his village. He wondered whether all those people would die like his parents and leave a gap in his belly as the death of his father and mother had done. In the town, of course, there seemed many more rich people than poor people, but then it occurred to him there were hundreds of villages for one town, and if there were as many poor people in all the villages as there were in his, surely there were more poor people in the world than rich. One day while playing, he accidentally bit Sheila on the cheek, making her mother go livid with anger. She and her husband beat up Munoo very cruelly, making him writhe in pain. Munoo escaped at twilight and ran away. He did not know where he was going. He jumped onto a train and he was kindly taken in by Prabh Dayal, who was the owner of a pickle and jam factory at Daulatpur. Prabh Dayal felt very tender towards the boy. He had suddenly recognized a kinship with him, the affinity his soul felt for his unborn son. Only he tried to make himself believe that it might be possible to regard this complete strange boy as a son. He tried to imagine what his parents were. They must have been poor, he thought, but then all hill folk are poor. He recalled the images of his own father and mother who had died at Hamirpur during his absence in the city of Daulatpur. His earnings as a coolie had not been enough to procure them all rice twice a day. He wished they were alive now and could enjoy the comfortable income the factory brought in. He heaved a sigh to forget the impossible. This boy's parents, he reflected, died before he became a wage earner. He is not as guilty as I. But the boy was like him really. He would probably feel the same about his parents. It was always like that except for a rich man's son like Ganpat, whose father was a successful broker and had given him money even when Ganpat had disgraced the family by gambling, drinking and whoring. Strange, Prabha wondered, that a youth like Ganpat, who had everything, should have wasted in time, while I myself have pined for knowledge and had never had the chance of acquiring it. And this boy, I wondered whether he could read and write. Prabh Dayal had to constantly appease the public prosecutor, Sir Todar Mal, so that he would not shut down the factory because the smoke irritated him. But at the end, we see that it was his own business partner, Ganpat, who cheated Prabh Dayal and left him bankrupt. This suggests a lack of loyalty and brotherhood among the people of the time. When the factory was shut down, Munoo was once again left penniless to fend for himself. He joined a driver who was travelling to Bombay with a circus. Munoo's heart throbbed with fear and with the pang of separation from Daulatpur as he lay flat by the edge of an open truck on the thick folds of a rolled-up tent, looking up to the stars through the darkness. He recalled the grim moments of the night when he had escaped from Sham Nagar. Only he was not sweating now as much as he had sweated on that occasion, and he did not feel so guilty. He had really earned the ride by working through the whole afternoon carrying huge heavy steel ring tops which came off the center poles of the vast tent onto the carts which brought it to the train. Nor did he feel so alone, as the elephant driver was somewhere about in a servant's compartment. But there was the same haunting, ghostly air about the whistle of the engine in the dark which had frightened him almost a year ago. But it was of the old world which lay in a direction different from the one to which he was going now. A world obscure and remote, even from Daulatpur, a world which he felt he had long left behind. He did not want to remember either Sham Nagar or Daulatpur. Both had treated him badly. He was going away to a new world, to the new wonderful world of a big city, where there were ships and motors, big buildings, marvelous gardens, and he fancied rich people who just threw money about to the coolies in the street. Munoo was at first mesmerized at the prospect of working in Bombay, but soon he realized that even in the big city, coolies had to work tirelessly during the day and sleep on the streets at night. He joined Sir George White's cotton mill and met Ratan there, whom he secretly admired. Ratan was a member of the workers' union and had chosen to fight his superiors and the exploitative conditions in which he was forced to work. However, the optimistic prospect symbolized by Ratan was short-lived for Munoo because during a workers' strike a riot broke out and he got lost. Wandering about, he got hit by Mrs. Mainwaring's car. As a compensation for her folly, she hired him as a servant and took him to Shimla. Mrs. Mainwaring's character can be seen as another aspect of the colonial Indian society. She was an Anglo-Indian and longed to be accepted by the English society. She went off to England and married a young English soldier. Her hope to be accepted as a true English woman can also be seen as a hope to be accepted as white with all the privileges that come with that skin color, something which Munoo will never be able to enjoy. This explains the oppression and the exploitation in India based on one's skin complexion, lineage and ethnicity. Despite the love and kindness that Mrs. Mainwaring had showed Munoo, he contracted tuberculosis and died aged just 15. Coolie is a heart-wrenching account of the oppression and exploitation faced not only by Munoo but many of our fellow human beings. Anand shows that the racial and class distinctions imposed by the British in our society has only magnified the existing class system that was already prevailing in India. Just because he is poor, an orphan and low-born, Munoo is forced to endure trials that no human being deserves to face in life. There are many such human beings in our country today. It is our duty to help them in every way we can and rally public opinion to build a happier and just society for everybody. I sincerely hope that you have liked this analysis of the book Coolie by Mulk Raj Anand. If you have, please do not forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. I have provided the links of my previous videos in the description below so that you may watch them. I'll be back again with an analysis of yet another book. Till then, happy reading.